Okay, guys, just hit the record button. Welcome to the weekly Success Strategies webinar here at Inside Real Estate. We have a guest today, Ehren Alessi. Did I say your name right?
You did. That's correct.
It's the right last name. And you are, it's Resolution Realty in Las Vegas.
That's right.
Cool. I'm going to bring up my screen here. So one of the reasons I want to have Ehren on today, everyone, is that we haven't really ever done this, I don't think. Ehren, you have an office with about 100 agents or so. You're a broker owner, and I thought it would be fun to get the perspective of somebody who kind of owns the KV Core account and is working with agents on the account. Do I have that right?
Yeah, that's it.
Cool. So if you want to tell us a little bit maybe about yourself, how long you've been in the business, maybe a little bit about Resolution Realty, what the business model is, when you came into KV Core, things like that.
Yeah, sure thing. First and foremost, thanks for having me on. I'm a big fan of yours, and I've been watching these webinars forever, so I'm glad we can connect and, give some information to everybody out there that's at home or watching the webinar. So it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. I'll get into a little bit of a bio. Originally from upstate New York in Buffalo, and I moved to Las Vegas about 22 years ago, and it's went by as a quick as a blink of an eye. And I went to architecture here for a little while, and when I was in architecture back in about 2003, 2004, I got my license, jumped into real estate full time, and I was a pretty successful solo agent for a long time. And kind of growing up in the biz in Vegas in 2005, 6, 7, we had a really good run, and then, the foreclosure crisis happened. Yeah. I was around for that, stayed in that, and ended up doing, between the short sales and the foreclosures, probably 4,000 transactions over those, years from 2008 to about 2011. So a lot of transactions under my belt at that time. So what I wanted to do was branch off and open up my own independent brokerage, which is now Resolution Realty. So we birthed that company in 2011. And 2011, I started with the 3 other agents that came from another company with me. And we grew that brokerage to 110 agents now. And we're in a growth mode as of right now, trying to recruit an additional 100 agents in the next 12 months. And a lot of that's due to the ever-growing technology. And we're very forward thinkers over here when it comes to technology. We use it in all facets of our business. And a lot of the data, we're a very data-driven real estate brokerage as well. So that kind of gets us up to where we are, today, and where I was, originally from. And a lot of guys that run independent brokerages like myself in Las Vegas or in Nevada in general, were in similar situations as I was a long time ago.
Great. Yeah. So 100 or so agents. When did you get on to KV Core, or were you an earlier conversion user? I'm forgetting now. Yeah,
earlier conversion when you guys first rolled out. That was about 4 years ago already?
Yeah, a bit longer. Yep.
No kidding. Yeah. Again, time flies. We started with conversion. Prior to that, I was working in Top Producer and a couple other CRMs, and conversion was the new kid on the block with Boomtown and a couple others. And I vetted all the companies, all the way up to your CEOs and stuff, and to find out who was going to be my partner, going forward. And I picked you guys, and I've been extremely happy with everything since.
Great. That's really nice to hear. So when you first got the system and then up till now, from what I understand, we talked briefly, you're using the system to recruit, right? It's kind of something you recruit to.
It's one of the departments that we use KV Core for, and it's specifically the recruiting department. It is great for KV Core because we use it in a few different ways. One is we use it for training, and no agent who is in the real estate business shouldn't have a CRM, right? So when we recruit somebody over to the brokerage, we want to get them into a great CRM. Being KV Core, we utilize all of the technology to build out our pipelines, to talk about how to work with buyers and sellers, And then there's 3 foundational points. How do you create business? How do you service business? And how do you work on business? Well, KV Core, as your main database or your main way to function in real estate, we train on those 3 different foundations, and it helps build a successful career for any agent doing anything at our team over here at the brokerage.
Okay, that's great. So you're training, I think these 3 bullet points, I kind of want to drill in on those because that sounds like you have a lot of structure. So how to create business, that would be lead generation, I assume.
It is a lot of lead generation, which is, I mean, you guys like look at everything that you have over there. So we use texting, Mojo Dialer for calling, the KV Core app for calling, the mass emails. We have custom drip campaigns built for every type of lead source. Then we implemented, we were doing Scipio before, but now that you guys have mass broadcasting for voicemail drops, we do that. We also do the bomb, so we try to stay viral when we're sending out our videos. And then what we try to do is basically get all these technology pieces systematized so that we can send out a lot of information to a lot of people and work that business at a higher level than most other agents do, so that we have a pipeline that's always brewing us business. And that's not easy, but KV Core makes it easy for you because it's kind of that one-stop shop.
Yeah. So are you creating these assets for your agents? You know, for example, the custom drips, is that something you do from the top down? And do you have people on staff who are doing this, who are dedicated to this?
Yeah, a little bit of both. So I don't share anything with my agents without doing it myself first. I want to know how much time it takes, how much money it takes, what the conversion rates are. Is there an ROI here? Okay, yes. So once I figure it out, I set up the assets and then I train and teach on them. And then I have the agents adopt them themselves and create their own sources so that it's their own business and they can take that intellectual knowledge with them wherever they go. Why I'm doing that type of funnel with my agents and my CRM, I also have some admin and a listing manager and a buyer's team leader. I have those guys working in the database as well, cultivating new leads and working those sources and the technology to generate more business, to then kind of flow back to another buyer's team with a tremendous amount of leads. So we really very rarely have lead issues. We have plenty of leads. What I don't have are the bodies to work them, right? So I have a good problem over here. And that led to, you know, the high level of recruiting that I'm trying to do right now for hiring agents fresh out of school or an agent that's seasoned, or bringing over a team and saying, hey, this is how you can leverage the database. Here's how you can leverage KV Core and work on your business within my business. And that's proven to be really successful.
So you've gone and created the two big things there. You've created the systems to create a surplus of leads. That's one of my favorite recruiting hooks is, hey, we're looking for capable agents to help us work a surplus of leads. It's kind of like in some form, right? But you've taken the time to build that out first and leverage KV Core to do that. And then oh, I had the second item there. I'm drawing a blank. You're getting me excited. So are you then, the item was, are you then referring the leads that you generate from the top down over to those buyer agent teams and charging referral? Or what's that look like?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
The referral with a majority of the agents on that buyer's team is a 50-50 split. But because we generated so many leads and we're so actively working on targeted farms, you know, I call quote unquote database leads is a 70-30 split in favor of the agents. And I know how hard it is to do a transaction. I don't forget that. And not a lot of brokerages have such an aggressive split on their leads, but I do for that reason. I rather have them do more business and be happy than trying to make more money off of one deal or something like that. And honestly, I've systematized it so well that it takes me less money to generate the same amount of leads now because I've been working on that craft for so long and figuring out all the little things that, help get that ROI increased.
Makes sense. So you've got good volume, good quality. You're incubating the leads using the system and bringing them close. Are your ISAs calling and then handing it off to the buyer agent team, or do they do that part?
I do both. So I make sure that each agent in KV Core has a maximum of 200 leads of their own.
Okay.
And they qualify and they work on their 200 leads. And then the ISA, while the buyer's agents are working on their pipeline, the ISA will send them something that's what, quote unquote, hot, ready to get into the car, ready to write an offer. So if the ISA is doing their job with the new lead intake coming in, they're handing off a really good lead, one or two really solid leads to each agent per month. So the agent's filling up their pipeline with those type of clients as well. Got it.
I know people are going to ask me what lead sources are you using? Is it pay-per-click? Is it Zillow?
If you can name it, I've either done it or working on it right now. But I do still have a high majority of my spend on pay-per-click. I like the price per lead on pay-per-click. I know when somebody clicks those websites and signs up, the conversion rate's pretty high. So pay-per-click for sure at the top. I think in second category, the paid clients like a Zillow or Realtor.com, if you know how to work that lead source the right way, it's still valuable. Some agents love it, some brokers hate it. It's to each their own. Facebook, if you're targeting the right way and running the right ads, that's probably third, and that's a more high volume game with a lower conversion rate, but that's okay too because it's a pipeline builder. After that, I kind of consider the viral marketing a lead source by sending out social media posts and YouTube and just general real estate posts like that help.
Great.
Then you kind of you can deep dive into any one of those and then blow those apart even farther.
Yeah, but and then I like the way you put that. It's kind of like you take each source, you build out the funnel for it. I imagine that's what you've done over the years. You've got Google working real well, and then you move on to the next, right? In a rough way.
Exactly.
Yep. Maybe you could speak a little bit, since you're doing this from the top down, about the investment you had to make. I talk to a lot of people, and they're a little shy about spending $500, $1,000, $2,000 a month on, say, Google PPC. As you did this, were you kind of bootstrapping it all the way, or did you start out and just say, hey, I'm going to spend a bunch and know my return's coming in 6 months?
I hate that question because a lot of it was me just getting in the trenches, spending the money, figuring out it as I go. And that's probably not the best way to run a business. And I've lost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars doing it the wrong way to do that. But at the same time, I was making money. Like there was never a month where, I spent $5,000 in marketing and I didn't get at least one deal to close to cover that expense, right? There's always enough business coming from those lead sources. Even if I knew I was doing a bad job tracking or having the right bodies there to help me, I still knew there was a return. So I slept fine at night. But if you're not spending money, you're not going to make money.
Yeah.
I just think that's just like business etiquette 101.
Yeah, and I think few real estate brokerages have the budget and the staff to actually do this right, where you allocate a number, like a corporate, a company would. You allocate a number, you spend it, you measure, and then you redo it. What's nice about real estate, I think, is that the transaction size are so high, like you're saying, is that, if you go spend $1,000 on Google, chances are pretty good you're going to get a result in 1 to 3 months and have the ROI come back.
Agreed. And there's probably a lot more single agents on this call right now than brokers in my position. So, I want to say this to those agents, like if you're fresh out of school or an agent in the business for 1 to 3 years and you don't have a budget set that you use for marketing and follow an ROI and generate leads and build your business so that you can get to 25 or 30 transactions a year, and then have a TC and a showing assistant or handle it all yourself. If you're not doing that and you're scared of spending the money, KV Core built the system to take out all of the heartaches and the growing pains that I had to go through to get to this point, and they make it very easy for you. So what I tell my new agents or agents trying to dip their toe into this, tell yourself unequivocally, I'm going to spend either $100 or $500 a month. And with this budget, I am going to do this. And then I am going to watch the return and try to master it. So a perfect example of that is spend $100 on a targeted buyer Facebook ad that comes in the KV Core, goes on all of the alerts, goes on the text, goes on the trip campaign, and gets you 40 leads per month. Just do that and don't falter for 6 months straight.
Yeah.
By the time you have 500 people in your database and you close 2 deals and you make $8,000 for the $800 that you spent, there's no risk in it. They made it that easy for you. And none of that stuff used to exist up until the last few years. And prior to that, it was way harder to do things like this. So now if you can spend $100, then you can spend $5,000 and then $1,000. And honestly, my marketing budget is $20,000 a month right now. And you know what? I could probably spend 40 grand or 50 grand a month. No problem, get just as much business. But again, I don't have the bodies, right? So every agent should adopt this because this is a business that you're in. You're not just a realtor. This is a business. So treat it like one and find some budget to at least start off with.
I love it. Thank you. Thanks for saying that, because I hear it from everybody. We had Alex Huffman on a few weeks ago. He kind of said the same thing. Yeah, and I think if you're going to take a risk, that would be the appropriate thing to max out your credit card for, maybe. You know, like instead of even going and getting a better car or something. You know,
absolutely. Stay in your 1986 Buick Skyhawk and just spend the money there, because in a year from now, with getting your learning curve moved up so quickly and then having a really good database, now you'll be able to go out and get that really nice car, and you know that you don't have the up and down of volatility of paychecks where you don't know where it's coming from or how much it is. You need to stabilize your paychecks. Then you'll feel good. Then you'll feel confident. Then you'll go spend the money on the things that you want for yourself, those luxuries.
Yeah. So we have a great question here. Soledad's asking, from each transaction closed, what percentage would you say an agent should be investing in marketing or reinvesting?
I think I don't know what the industry standard is. You know, you want to save a portion.
Taxes.
I don't know. It's a tough question. You know, if I made $10,000 on a closing today, I would definitely be setting aside, you know, $3,000 of that to go back into, you know, lead gen. And then the other 7,000 I would chop up towards savings and just, you know, bills and stuff like that. And look at it like a true business. Taxes, right? Work on your business. What do your taxes look like? So I don't know what, Ryan, 30%? Do you hear that usually on your budgets?
Yeah, it's pretty aggressive. I actually tell people 10 or 20, you know, just to do something if you're going to have a rule of thumb. Maybe that's not aggressive enough. But definitely, it's definitely, I think, something people overlook, because, you know, you put away the tax account. But yeah, not many agents, I think, have that number in their head. Maybe more of us should, you know.
And it's a delicate dance. Like how much money do you want to spend, because you're going to get X amount of leads in. And if you don't work your leads right, then you're just wasting your money anyway. So it's kind of a formula on how well you're set up to handle those leads as well, or just work on your business.
That's a great point. So you had how to create business. Is the how to service, is that the follow-up, or is that something else? Is that transaction based in your
That's
budget?
transaction based,
Okay.
like taking a client from contract to close and having a system implemented for that. Because if you are spending a lot of time servicing your business and not creating it, then you're gonna have issues. If you're spending too much time on creating business and not servicing the ones you have, you're going to lose business. So you have to have a really good balance on those two principles in order to have like a steady career.
Got it. Yeah. So then you teach the actual nitty gritty of getting a transaction to closing. But all this stuff up here has to happen in order to have this happen right here. Um, and then I guess the next level is then working on the business instead of in the business. You want to talk a little more about that?
Yeah, and working on your business is more high level stuff where you're looking at your branding. Are you a group? Are you a team? Are you a solo agent? What does the 1 year, 3 5 year plan look like for your business? Are you set up with an LLC? Do you have a CPA? Do you have your checking accounts and your savings and everything squared away? Do you have a budget? All the higher level thinking about running a business. Are you staffed? Do you have a transaction coordinator? Kind of look at how to work on your business is almost a monthly or quarterly type of task where you sit down and reevaluate what's going on, what's happened. And if you're doing that 4 times out of the year, there's stuff that won't get overlooked that keep you on track financially as well.
So you'll take like a whole day and do this, or a week, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. And as your business grows, you find out more things pop up where, I didn't need an LLC before because I was only closing a handful of deals. Now I'm closing 40 deals. Now I need an LLC. So, as you're building your business, things like that will pop up as well. So it's good to sit down and, kind of analyze everything you're doing. And if you can't track your data, you can't analyze your business. So you need to track everything you're doing in KV Core. And then I use one other system, and that's it. And I can track everything I'm doing from lead gen all the way to close.
So yeah, so that's a really important point. We have our business analytics. I know you have another system. Is that all this stuff up here where your money's going out on marketing, down to the source how it's ROIing for you. That's what you're saying.
Yep, exactly.
Yep. So question, I knew that question was going to come. What's that other system you told me? It's just slipping my head.
It's SISU, SISU. Business analytics in KV Core is certainly enough to keep all of what I'm talking about on track.
Yeah.
SISU is a new player in the game that's a couple years old, or not even, they're about a year old now. They are a growth automation software for teams and training and tracking everything that's going on in your business, all the way from how many phone calls did you make? Out of those phone calls, how many of those turned into conversations? Out of those conversations, how many of those turned into an appointment set? Out of an appointment set, how many turned to Met, then a buyer, it just goes through every step of your business and keeps you accountable for what needs to get done. So it's a real big accountability tool for us here at the brokerage to train our agents on the stuff we do in KV Core as well.
Got it. And like you said, we have our business analytics. You can track a source, through to the different statuses and closings. So if you haven't looked at that, check that out. And Sisu does look very cool too. Question from Togo was, why are you setting it at 200 leads per agent? Why not more? And what do you feel is a manageable a manageable number for an agent to be working at any one time?
That's a great question. And I think it varies marketplace to marketplace, broker to broker, and lead source to lead source. What I've noticed over the years is anybody that has more than 200 leads are not giving it the quality maintenance those leads need in order to convert at a high rate. And
so can I take a step back? Do you mean new leads in the system, active leads? Are you doing this based on status?
This is 200 leads that would be considered either active, short-term nurture, mid-term nurture, or prospect. This does not include your sphere. I feel like your sphere could be farms you uploaded or thousands of contacts of people you know. That's kind of a pool, we call it the fishing pond. But leads, from new leads to active leads to prospects, that shouldn't be over 200.
That's a really interesting point, because I do go into a lot of KV Core accounts and you'll see thousands sitting in that active pool. And if I think about even the little bit that I still have time to dabble, once it gets over a certain number, I start doing a pretty bad job of the follow-up.
Right. And what happens to those leads? They go and buy properties with other people. And now and when I pick up the phone and call a lead and they go, oh yeah, John from your team never followed up with me. I just bought a home. I mean, that's gut wrenching. That's the point where it just makes me sick. So I make sure that the maintenance being done on their pipeline is done at a high level. And you need to understand, if you're working with 10 active buyers right now and they say active, that means they're going to close in the next 60 days, which means every category in KV Core, you got to really understand what the definition is, why it was placed there, and make sure that you're actively working your leads based on that definition.
Are you using the lead routing to kind of turn people on and off?
Yeah, so yeah, we do that. So sometimes with the ISA, sometimes I'll have everything go directly into him. We also have a team setting where it goes to the team all at once. And then I also have a different team where we just put those guys in rotation for the entire day. And then each day a new agent's in rotation, kind of like a floor time.
Yeah, I've always loved that idea is instead of, because what happens sometimes with rotations is you got everybody out in the field doing their thing and they're not too focused and they just get a lead and they forget about it. But if you got one person on the floor time for that day, it's like the virtual floor time. They're paying attention.
Yeah. And so back to his question, you traditionally 80 to 100 leads that convert, at a 2% conversion rate, and takes your average online person that reaches out to you, takes 6 months to a year to close. If you have 200 of those that you're really actively working, that's about where agents tap out. And that's what you would expect out of those leads. If you have 200 and you have a 2% conversion rate, you should be closing 2 deals per month, which is, X amount of dollars in your pocket. So if you can get that brewing and working that way, you can add 300, 400, 500 leads, but you're going to need somebody in your database full time working it at that point.
Yeah, it's a good point. And if you think about working less leads, you're going to do a better job of working them. You're going to end up with more referrals. There's this sort of viral effect to every lead who knows 10 other people who are going to buy and sell a house that we don't talk about a lot. But yeah, I can see the argument for having less, treating them better, and that's going to lead to a lot more free leads and referrals.
Kind of a quality over quantity thing, right?
Yeah. Huh. Okay, I know some of you guys, like Barry, you've got like 10,000 leads in there. I hope this is helpful for you. I know some people, and me too, I've done this over here, just focused on the numbers game. Like, let's get 10,000, 20,000 in there. But really, are you doing yourself a favor? That's a big takeaway for me so far today. So thanks, Ehren.
Yeah. No, it's a tough one to look at, and I've went back and forth a lot. And the database, we have 23,000 leads. I'm like, go, generate more leads. But then you get them all to the team. The team's like, oh yeah, this is great, we got leads. But then, oh wait a minute, we're not really servicing those leads the way we need to. Let's take a step back and let's qualify this a little bit better. Let's have some more systems. So anybody that has a lot of leads in a big database like the guy you're talking about with 10,000, systematizing that and just having the key people working the database the right way is what you have to work on full time. Like, I have an operations manager, I have a sales manager, I have a recruiting manager, I have a office manager, and every one of us are tied to that 10,000 people in the database and all work them in a certain way to funnel that information down to the agents and the new people coming on board. So that's the type of stuff, if I had that many leads, I'd be working on.
Interesting. So all these hires you've picked them up over the years. I imagine, were these agents that you kind of moved into those roles? Or
yeah, I'd like to kind of hire within and move people up through the ranks. That's really good for leveraging a company and building and having a good culture. Sometimes out of necessity, you got to hire for a certain position, and I've also done that. And with the way we're recruiting right now, we're looking at expanding roles. So some of those roles you will go outside the brokerage and hire for.
Got it. Can we talk a little more about the recruiting? I don't know how much you want to share. You have competitors probably watching this as well in your market. But are you, just in terms of the tools, are you using KV Core squeeze pages? Are you doing social? What's it kind of look like from a 10,000 foot view?
I'm an open book,
Okay.
and yeah, and whatever I can do to share with other agents trying to recruit as well, or trying to put this in their business model, I'm more than happy to help.
So
And go
is there
ahead.
a recruiting page that you have on your site, or something that we could bring up?
So the team page content, I think it's the About Us. I haven't went there in a few minutes. Where is yeah, meet our team, join our team.
Gotcha.
So the squeeze pages, we do send out to agents that are in the Valley and let them know, hey, here's a link, here's what we offer, here's KV Core. From a squeeze page value add, we don't do a tremendous amount of advertising that way. A lot of the advertising I do is through webinars and videos that I send out saying, hey, if you're thinking about coming over to Resolution Realty, here's how to leverage your business. Here's the systems and the technology we use. Here's how KV Core is implemented in that. And we get into deeper discussions about how to leverage the technology to drive the business in and then train from it. So there's a few different ways I leverage KV Core for that. Like there's one example is I go down to a real estate school for new agents fresh out of school that have no idea what a CRM is.
Yeah.
That's where KV Core is one of the first things they should be touching when they come out of school. So for newer agents that don't know anything about it, this is a huge pitch. I have a whole presentation and I send out flyers, right? And we talk to the agents. And then I send them a webinar. Agents that have been in the business for a year to 3 years that may or may not have a CRM, I'll send information to them. I'll lead them back to this page. I'll send some landing page stuff out to get them to book an appointment. When they come in, then I sit down and literally go through a technology package about what KV Core is about. And then I start walking them through the websites, the lead gen, the pipeline, and all that other stuff. And then on another note, if somebody's got a team at another brokerage, I'm talking to them about how can I save you money? How can I get you into a system? How can you get leverage KV Core to do just a better job more effectively than what you're doing right now? So I'm in the same conversation, but just a different level with that type of agent. So I got like 7 different sources I use KV Core to leverage for.
That's awesome. I'm sure I'm looking at this. This is very sophisticated, relative to some of the other recruiting systems that I see. And I imagine by the time an agent sits with you, you've not only covered the technology, it's just a piece. You're obviously doing some of the working on your business stuff, the accountability coaching along with that. So it's a nice package they're getting.
Yeah, you nailed it on the head. And, I look at agents like I look at clients, right? You got to reach out to them. You have to add value. You have to give them an idea. You got to meet with them. You got to nurture that relationship. Like you got to do that with everybody you talk to. Me and you, shoot, we did it on a half-hour phone call when we first talked, So it's the same thing. And you can apply those principles to anything you're doing in real estate through the CRM.
Would you say it's what takes longer, to get an agent to change or to get a cold listing lead to list with you? Which is the longer sales cycle?
Wow, that's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know the answer. I'll just
It takes me approximately 6 months to get an agent fully up and running, break bad habits, start from scratch and build back up. It takes me about 6 months to get a lead to go from cold to warm to hot. So they're pretty close, man.
It's all the same. So you basically have 2 types of funnels, maybe more, but I think a big takeaway here is it looks like you're a systems guy. You've got a system for all the sides of this, the agent side, what the new agent experiences, what the experienced agent experiences, and then the recruiting itself.
Yeah, I'm a big visionary. I figure out what can be done. Then I create a system and then I have somebody run it for me.
Great. Robert's asking, we did kind of talk about, he wants you to share the lead generation schedule or process. We kind of ran through the sources that you're using, Google, Zillow, and Facebook, roughly in that order. I guess, is there anything else you want to share about the process? I mean, I assume are you running the pay-per-click ads? I'll try to help that question. Or is there somebody
Yeah.
else?
Yeah, there's a lot of different tangents we can go off with that question. I'll try to focus it on, like, let's call it my listing department.
Okay.
And say that, what was the question again? I just want to make sure I'm on point.
Can Ehren share what the lead generation schedule and or process is? But
Okay.
he's having trouble figuring out how to combine different sources and in what order.
Combine them in what order? Okay. Combine them in what order? Well, I would start with the one that makes the most money, has the best ROI, that is your foundation. That's the one I would start with, and then everybody below that would take priority based on how you feel about the conversion rate. So for example, I know for a fact in my listing department, when I spend $5,000 on pay-per-click, I'm going to get X amount of leads, and those are going to convert into 15 listings. Those 15 listings are going to close 12 deals. Those 12 deals are going to result in the fact that I make like 20 grand. Like, if I know those numbers, that's where I start first. I dedicate my entire system built around that. And then I make sure that that department is set up well before I move on to the next department. Don't try to do a lot of different lead sources at the same time. Focus on one lead source, do it really, 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 really well, then start the very next one. And depending on how your business is set up, I would focus it maybe on the seller side or the buyer side and prioritize that way. And for everybody on this phone call, the number one reason why I am here is because I've always heavily weighted all of my lead gen towards listings. Go somehow, some way, find the listings, and all the buyer business will come after it, and you can leverage all of that stuff.
All right, you're going to open a big can of worms here, so I know the questions are coming. From a PPC perspective, you have funnels that generate listing leads. You want to talk a little bit about that?
So yeah, I don't know, where everybody's in a different city right now. If you Google, I want to sell my home fast,
Right.
sell my home for cash, top realtor, top listing agent. Look at all those ads. Okay. Yep. That's where all your listings are going.
Yep, I agree. There's not a ton of traffic here, but it's quality when the lead comes in. I've run these for some investor friends of mine too over the years. The ugly house crowd.
So here's a scary number. This happens to me a lot, and it's not everybody on this call right now is like, a listing lead will cost me $250.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, but my conversion rate on that 250 is like 95%. If I get that lead, there's like a 95% sure shot. If I get in front of them, it's a listing and I'm going to get it closed.
So you're running a Google PPC ad for Sell My Home Fast, and the actual lead to fill out a form is costing you $250?
Yeah, I mean, once you look at how many leads, so we'll spend $5,000 and we'll get 50 leads, right? So yeah, and we run a few different ads, and those aren't the exact numbers. I'm just brushing some broad strokes.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the next thing I was going to say is these particular keywords are going to be a bit more expensive and there's going to be a little less traffic, but they're much higher value. That's the takeaway.
Right. So if you don't have, $5,000 to spend on a pay-per-click budget for, selling, listing homes, you got to figure out, okay, what's the next thing I can do to generate listing leads? And you kind of just start going through all of them and figuring out what your budget fits for, and then honing in on that particular lead source just to generate listings.
Have you done Facebook with this same offer?
I have, and I do Facebook with the same offer and retarget with Facebook. And then I upload targeted farms into a custom audience in Facebook to retarget those guys. And so that's like a Facebook listing campaign, and it works. It's not the same type of lead that I get from this PPC, but I'll get listing leads from it.
And those are a little higher than your typical Facebook buyer lead, I assume.
Yeah, they're a little bit. You got to do more volume on Facebook to get a transaction out of it. It's just a volume game when you go Facebook.
Right, and per lead to get somebody to come off a Facebook ad and say and fill out whatever your what's my house worth, whatever form you're using, those tend to be higher, I assume, than your buyer.
Right. So like Facebook, for a lead like that's like $10 to $15 versus the $250 I got to spend on PPC. Right. So it's a numbers game there too.
Yeah, the intent on the PPC is through the roof, though. I've experienced some of these. They're legit. Like
they really are. I mean, if you get in there and figure out a good ad, and you don't have to spend a ton of money. If you're in another city, like Vegas is really hot when it comes to PPC. Like there's a ton of people that do it. There's a lot of big hedge funds and Zillows and OfferPad. Like they focus highly on Las Vegas. So it costs me more money. But if you're not in a market area where it's like just being bombarded by PPC ads, you could probably run the same type of ad I'm running. Like I'll spend 10 grand. You could probably run a really good PPC ad in another market for $1,500 a month, get some really good solid listing leads out of that, and it'd pay itself back quick. Like sometimes that's the bad part about Vegas is it's super competitive, and that raises rates, right?
Yep. Yeah, and then the volume, I just will caution everybody, the volume on these isn't that high. It's not as high as homes for sale, Tampa, Florida, right? There aren't as many people searching sell my house fast. Would you agree? Or?
Oh, you're 100% right, and that's a good point.
Yeah, so you might see, depending on your budget, you might see a lead a day, a lead every few days, but it is very much worth doing. One of the reasons we don't offer this at KV Core is because of the competition factor. If we tried to offer it and everybody was doing it, it kind of ruins it.
Yeah, it'd be silly, and I don't expect anything like that to come out for agents like us or brokerages or anything in the near future. There's going to be a line in the sand, and for a good reason where that doesn't cross over.
Yeah. So, as how'd you learn to get listings using Google PPC? I assume you educated yourself on PPC in general.
I did. I kind of did my own crash course. Then I consulted with 3 different companies that do just the Google PPC setup and maintenance and running ads and stuff. They do it for me. And I had a couple people rip me off at first and say they're going to deliver and didn't. I had a lot of people make it sound like it's harder than it really is. Mm-hmm. And then I found out through the bumps and the bruises that it's an art form. It takes about 90 days to really figure out how to maximize it. And honestly, you shouldn't be paying more than $250 to $500 a month for somebody to manage your Google pay-per-click campaigns for you. Depending on the level you do them at. So that could go up or down a little bit, but somebody shouldn't be charging you $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month to manage those PPC campaigns.
Yeah, I've learned a lot of what I know from Perry Marshall, who's been around forever. NOG is one of the first guys who taught Google pay-per-click. And he's got this, I think he calls it the peel and stick method. If I can give everybody a little pointer, basically the idea there is just go really tight, like one keyword to one landing page. Maybe you buy a bunch and see which keywords work, but if you slow play it like that, you focus on that one keyword, one landing page, it's pretty easy to have success. Again, if you're patient, you're willing to wait that 90 days or so to work it out, figure it out.
Yeah, and if you can log into Google, create a campaign, run a few reports, look at a few keywords, do some negative keywords there, and you can do a little research. Anybody can do it on their own. You certainly don't have to be at the level I'm doing it to see success. I think if you can get up and set up a campaign, watch it, and just, again, stick to it, immerse yourself in it, focus on just that, you'll get good at it. You'll beat other people out at it. And then all you need is one lead, one solid good lead from PPC to come in to make everything feel great, and give yourself 90 days to build it up.
Yep. And if I can toot our own horn, with KV Core's pages, if you drive a Google click to a squeeze link, you're going to do pretty well. Across North America, we're at about 10.5%, 11% conversions, which to me works. The numbers work if you rip through the funnel and you're willing to wait, the typical incubation period that a real estate lead requires for it to convert.
Do you know the cost per lead on that lead source that you just mentioned for your market?
Yeah, so we run, not in my market, but we run, I oversee the Google ads that we sell from Marketplace. So we're running thousands of campaigns all over North America, and our average cost per lead is right around $11, across the whole country.
That's lower. Well, I don't know what it is throughout the country. That's kind of why I asked. And for us, it's $18.
You're going to be higher because you have the cities are going to be higher. You have a more sophisticated market and more competition. But for example, there are some places in rural, where we might only be running ads for one agent. There might be one or two agents and there's no competition for the click. So we'll see $6 or $7 leads. That's why the number comes down. Yeah.
Yep.
For whatever reason.
I've had, well, I was going to say, I have taught this to agents on my team. Then they go do it themselves and then they leave my team. And I'm like, okay, well, I kind of love having you on my team, but now that you know how to do it yourself, they don't leave the brokerage. They don't need me to send them leads anymore. They generate leads on their own. And, that's awesome. But it's a bittersweet moment for me.
They're bidding against you for clicks.
They are, in that too. Now everybody's bidding on each other.
So what I do, and I'll just tease everybody, I've got like 5 sources nobody's ever heard of. That's the next level.
Ooh,
so you talk about the stuff public that works, you do them a favor, but you got to have a few aces in the hole.
I need to buy you a drink, man.
Exactly. Yeah. So, okay. So good question from Gary. We're going to run out of time here, but this has been awesome, man. Thank you. But Gary's asking, how do you stand out for listing leads online if you're in a market dominated by established agents? So how do you advise that totally newbie agent? How do you help them go close a listing appointment and talk to that fresh lead?
If you're a new agent, and I have them on my team here, I have them piggyback all of my credentials, everything, and basically say they're my partner at the brokerage or in a mentorship with me. Mm-hmm. It's extremely valuable to have somebody back you up when you're at a listing appointment and go in there looking the look, talking the talk, and then back it up by the credentials. And you should have a listing folder with the flyer of your services, with referral cards from other people who've bought and sold with the brokerage, a listing presentation in there, maybe a call to action where you're going to save them $1,000 for working with you, and be ready to answer questions on market conditions. If you can do that, you can close out a seller above and beyond the other 5 agents waiting at the door to get in there to talk to that client that have 10 years experience on you already.
So bring in your team leader, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm starting to figure something out that I probably already knew, but and think about my own career. What I'm learning from you here and hearing you talk and everything is that for a new agent, the importance of having a really good mentor or a broker. I wonder what the correlation is between the success. How many people make it in business 2 or 3 years who have that, and those who don't. It's like somebody who finds you, I feel like, is probably more lucky than somebody who just randomly picks a brokerage and goes and signs up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm blessed to be at the point right now where I won't bring on agents unless they fit this culture, their family, and we're not just signing up agents to sign them up. And to kind of the statement you just made, why do you think the failure rate for new real estate agents is 80%? Right. So there's not a lot of people that do and train and show and teach and coach like me and you and KV Core. Like, this stuff isn't around for a lot of agents in many different cities. And, if you can find somebody to mentor and team up with, do it, and do it now, because I can teach an agent more in 6 months than they can learn on their own in, honestly, 6 years.
Yep, and it's worth the money to take a lower split. I was on a team where I think I was getting 40% back in the early 2000s, and it was worth every penny, from that guy. The things I learned in a year or two there. So it's not always about the split.
It's not. It's like going to college, and that's your payment to get into college, right? There's your tuition.
Mhm.
And I got a couple young guys, this guy, Zach Dunmeyer on my team, he's 19 years old. You know what he's doing? He comes in every day and he does whatever I tell him to do because he's my intern, right? And he doesn't care if he makes a paycheck or anything. He just knows that everything we discuss and train on is so valuable that he quit his other job and he's full time now. So like you got to have that person helping you out with this stuff.
Great. Last question. I was just curious. Do you pay for KV Core for all the agents, or do they have a tech fee? Just how do you structure that?
It's really complicated, but the easy way to point it out is there's a $150 membership fee with the Resolution Realty, and it includes all of our technology, all of our leads, KV Core, etc.
Okay. Yeah, just curious. I think a lot of brokers are doing something similar. And again, it's well worth it for them. If you went and bought a system like this off the shelf, you're going to pay a lot more.
Yeah, and that's my pitch to everybody that comes on board. I go, I'm going to give you all this stuff for $150 a month. If you were to go do this on your own, it will cost you $3,000 a month. So here's the first thing we need to talk about, and that opens up the can of worms on everything real estate.
Great. Well, I wish we could probably go for hours more, Ehren. So I just want to say thank you. I mean, I think a lot of people got value out of this. Terry's asking, how can I find the recording? The recordings are always at insiderealestate.com/webinars. We have a YouTube playlist that's linked from there. You can find all of these. Ehren, was there anything else you wanted to mention? Anything you want to plug or pitch? You've plugged Resolution nicely. I'm not here to help you recruit, but there's your link on the screen.
Yeah, I appreciate that shout out and plug. I just want to say, real estate is an extremely tough career, but it can be easy at times too. And I know there's a lot of things going down with COVID right now. Get that stuff out of your head. Keep working on what's right in front of you. And there's people that will have to buy, and there's people that will have to sell. So the business is out there. You just got to wake up every morning and have a plan and go after it. And no matter what's going on in the world, everything real estate's going to keep going on. So don't make any excuses not to hit it.
Yeah, even in the worst case scenario, there's going to be hundreds of transactions in your market this month, in any given month.
That's right.
Let's go get them. Thanks, Ehren, man. This was great. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. It was good seeing you. Everybody take care. Have a great day.
Okay. Bye, guys.